Howdy. We are in the United States, California. And the reason why you're watching is I stumbled across a YouTube channel and he had some very interesting, but in a way also scary observations to share. There is earthquake activity going on at the geysers since quite a while. And there's like people are talking about the big one somewhere in California. And actually, what's going on here? There's something going on here, a deeper quake, unconfirmed, once again. 20 kilometers in depth, 3.6. 15 user reports. Another unconfirmed near Aurora, Illinois, USA, 3.4. 10 kilometers in depth, 45 user reports. And I bet the third one is also unconfirmed. Let's check it out. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is unconfirmed. 3.2, 10 kilometers in depth, 404 user reports. So now let's just have a quick look at some of the reports. Sitting, living room shaking, a rattling occurred, very loud rumble, just a loud thunder, sounded like an airplane. Sounded like thunder or a train. Rumble. That got louder. So there wasn't sound. And it's very common for earthquakes to have sound. How else could it be? But, G-Man, are you listening? Maybe this is something for you to really take a good listen to what this other guy has to say, because he's a professional. His videos are made very neatly. He has many very nice pictures, not like I do. But anyway, let me share you a part of his video, and yeah, let's just go over it, because I think it's important. What's guaranteed to happen around March 7th, which is rather soon.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Stefan, and today we're going to talk about all the different energetic forces that are aligning on March 7th, 2023. Now, the reason we're making this video, and I'm showing you all this, is because in my last video, which blew up way more than I thought it would, I talked about the anomalous magnetic field activity we've been seeing in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California, Northern California, and why this could be a pre-earthquake signal that we're seeing, because this is highly anomalous data. You can see here what it normally looks like. This is the magnetic field in the Schumann resonances. Here's the summer. Here's what we saw. And a lot of you commented saying, well, if there's going to be an earthquake, it's going to be on March 7th. Now, the reason why a lot of people are thinking March 7th is because of some significant astrological events that are happening. Saturn moving into Pisces. There are tons of people talking about this already, and I'm not going to discuss the astrology in this video. I think it's interesting, but I'm going to keep this science-based. But we do have a full moon on the 7th, and this is significant because the full moon passing through the magnetotail has a certain energetic quality to it. Then we also have the prior anomalous Schumann resonances activity. We're seeing increased solar forcing due to solar cycle 25. We'll have a spring tide, and of course, remember the power of collective belief. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the Schumann resonances, what happened with them over the past few days. We'll be looking at the sun and how it loads the Earth's magnetosphere with energy, and then how the moon passing through that flings energy back towards the Earth, why the sun is doing these changes here, and much, much more. So with that, let's dive right in. There are a bunch of different energetic forces that are culminating on March 7th, plus or minus 3 days. But the general gist seems to be that people are interested in an earthquake, and we're seeing pre-earthquake signals show up in the Schumann resonances. So I want to look at this study very, very quickly of how they predicted an earthquake 3 days before it occurred, and they predicted it quite precisely. So this is a very rare. Earthquake prediction is not something that we are at all good at. There was an earthquake in Greece, and there was a organized meeting by the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences in 2001, and they noticed certain things happening in the magnetic field, and as a result, they put out a pre-earthquake prediction, and it was only done a few days in advance, and lo and behold, they got it right. So this all depends on a few things. First, you can see that the monitoring site that they had that measured the magnetic field was actually very close to this earthquake. That's important because you need a high density of observation stations to make earthquake prediction possible, which is something that we currently don't have, or at least they don't talk to each other. And in this case, they just had a single observation station, but it was right next door. So they noticed the magnetic pre-earthquake signals. Now, they looked at the normalized Earth's electric field data, and you can see here that it was fairly normal. This is the east-west component. Here's the north-south. And then this red bar there is the earthquake. Days before this earthquake started, they saw some very anomalous spikes and drops in the east-west and north-south magnetic components. And as a result, these scientists got together and made some earthquake predictions. And this was a few days before the main seismic event. And when the oscillating Earth's electric field increases in amplitude, it suggests that a seismogenic area has reached the critical stress charge level, which happens a short time before the occurrence of a future seismic event. And we've seen this across a bunch of different earthquakes. There's the Kiki earthquake in Taiwan that released electromagnetic signals for weeks preceding. There was a Loma Prieta earthquake, which had pre-magnetic signals. There are dozens that you can look at, ranging from magnitude 3 all the way up to magnitude 7 plus. And we just had some recently. I'll show you that for that magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Turkey on February 6th. Now, they knew that earthquake was pending, but they didn't know its occurrence time. But what they did also realize is that a slight increase of the stress in the seismogenic area can trigger the pending seismic event. And that is really, really something that is important. Here we have a graphic. You can see the stress load goes up. This is time. EQ stands for earthquake. Here the stress is increasing, and then we have an earthquake. And the stress threshold is going to be different each time. It's not going to be always exactly the same. So then we see the stress load increase, there's an earthquake. Stress load increases further, there's an earthquake. So this is one factor that makes earthquake prediction difficult because we don't know what that critical stress threshold is, though the more data we collect for a fault zone, the better of an understanding we have. And remember, this line here of increasing stress load, this in reality would be highly variable. Sometimes it'd be lower slope, other times it'd be more exponential. During a solar cycle, when the sun is loading the Earth, you can expect this slope to increase and, reach that earthquake stress load threshold sooner. But this is just a simplified graphic showing how stress and time are the main variables for an earthquake. And once you hit that critical stress, that's when an earthquake happens. Stress load drops because it's released seismically, and then so on from there. So if we go back here, I really like this graphic. This graphic represents how precisely you can pinpoint when an earthquake is going to happen. So there's an infinite number of solutions. All the different things that many of them we don't know. Then there is a tidal dependent signal because the Earth's tides seem to be correlated with earthquakes because that is a lithospheric stress loader. And then very, very close to an earthquake are these electric signals that are generated. So the tides give us some long-term ideas of where we can expect an earthquake. And then when you start to see electromagnetic anomalous signals, then you're pretty close to an earthquake. And we saw this, if I go over, we saw this before the magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Turkey. This is collected from Tomsk, Russia. We have more data from there that we'll look at in a little bit, but this is a measure of the magnetic component. This is the qualities and the frequencies that are historically associated with earthquakes as pre-earthquake signals are 20 hertz and 25 hertz, modes 3 and modes 4. And in mode 3 here, we saw a quality increase to 250, which is like unseen. I mean, it's seen here now, but very, very rare do you see qualities even over like 20, for example. And we've been having huge quality increases in modes 3 and 4 as of late. This is February 2nd, 2023. That's what these streams of energy looked like in the spectrogram. And then this is a measure of the vertical electric field. Then here is our Turkey-Syria earthquake. Right there is the time that it started. And you can see a stream of energy shows up in the spectrogram, collected more than 4,000 kilometers away. And you can see the qualities even here are still high, 38, 30. But modes 1 and 2, which aren't as connected to earthquake electroseismic activity, they don't have these very, very large jumps. But you can see there how it even reflects and echoes across the frequency spectrum. But we just recently saw pre-earthquake signals in this range that has been historically associated with earthquakes, with magnitude 6 plus earthquakes, and we're seeing those same signals again in California and in different parts around the world. So
I recommend you to watch this video and the earlier video I made about it, especially about California. So for those who live there, I just recommend you to be prepared. You know, it doesn't do any harm to be prepared one time too much than being unprepared when something happens. Probably mental preparedness is already a very big step. You might be already a few steps ahead of anyone else who is not mentally prepared, not to somehow, how to put it, yeah, it should be the preparedness if you live in a place like in California, which should be known to at least Californians that there could be a possibility for a rather strong earthquake. You should have some things ready in your bag, which should be readily packed. There should be clothes, there should be some water, there should be some food, there should be lights, you know, a flashlight, maybe even batteries. Probably a small radio that you could listen to some news from whatever. You should probably know in which direction you should head to, if possible. Yeah, I think we are living in really exciting times, and as we have seen in Turkey, things really can happen. It doesn't mean that it happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow is the 7th. Yes. And he's specifically also showing
this right here is a recognition of
stuff about California in particular. Yeah, I have no idea what city that is. It doesn't really matter. Maybe. I think it's still in California somewhere. But I really recommend you to watch this video. He has very good way to explain things and stuff. So it might be worth watching this and the other video. I will put a link below to the other video as well. And yeah, hopefully he's wrong. Hopefully I am wrong, warning once again about something which probably doesn't occur. Maybe doesn't occur. Hopefully doesn't occur. But somehow it would be responsibleness. No. What's the word for not taking responsibility? I just feel somehow the responsibility to share this with you, even though you don't live in California. But just the fact that there are other people who are watching these kind of things, and he is probably much better in watching these because he's a geophysicist. He probably knows much better what he's talking about. And yeah, he has proper software and know how to use a computer. I don't have neither of those. But anyway, be prepared. You never know when it's going to happen. So if you can take away the surprise factor, the state of being in shock, the state of not knowing what's going on, you are way ahead of the herd. So if I would live in California, I would put everything ready. The bag or stuff would be just beside the front door, that you can just grab it and leave. You know, if you take your bag, you know that you have basically the stuff you need in order to make it through the first days. If it's cold there, keep clothes ready, maybe some blankets if you have those kind of aluminium, you know, those very light but very warm blankets and stuff like that. Take lighters that you can make a fire in order to keep you warm and stuff like that. Maybe a pan that you can melt snow in order to get some drinking water and stuff like that. I definitely would make everything ready, because this is a rather creepy occurrence which is going on there. And I really recommend you to watch both videos and make up your own mind. I'm not trying to scare anyone or whatsoever, fear-mongering crap, no. It's just about raising the awareness. If you basically know what's going on, the fear factor is gone because you know already. And if you hear a rumble, you probably already know what's going to happen. Many others don't. So they have to overcome first the factor of shock, the factor of fear, and the factor of not knowing what's going on. And this might be a very big obstacle. But anyway, I leave it here. This is something possibly very important. Possibly. Thanks. Bye.